I got to try out Season 4 of the finals early, so here is everything new that I found after playing all day. First and foremost, I want to say that the spirit of the finals is back this patch. And after a very mid Season 3, I want to say that this might be the best season yet. It's clear that Embark took a lot of feedback from the community and it's popular content for this patch. There were a lot of suggestions that were in all different types of videos that we've seen come to fruition with Season 4. And if the community thinks this is a W patch, huge season, maybe we'll even start rolling out more finals videos and streams down the line, maybe once a week, call it Finals Fridays. But anyways, let's talk about what's new and why I enjoy the new patch so much. First and foremost, obviously the menus have changed. I know there were some UI changes right before the season preview, as I understand it, so I'm not entirely sure what's new this season and what's new to me and most players, but it looks great. The new UI changes feel more refined and more like the finals, and the menus come with such great music to boot. When you get into the new season, you'll get to choose a sponsor path, which gives you a set of challenges that you can grind for, all that leads to different sets of skins and rewards that you can rep. It seems like you will also get these sponsor points just from playing the game normally, just like with VR. There's then a leaderboard for your given sponsor path, which I assume is for the amount of sponsor points that you've gathered. Keep in mind that the sponsor choice is permanent and you won't be able to switch at any point in the middle of the season. There's also a lot more customization when it comes to your player cards. You can unlock badges that can be equipped to your player cards by completing different challenges. Much like in Apex, maybe we'll even see some cool badges like a 20 bomb badge or 4K or whatever the equivalent would be in the finals. There's also a lot more stats in these player cards that you really can show off. Also, speaking of customization, after 3 whole seasons, you can finally add facial hair to your character. And as you can see in the gameplay, cashout is also back, and there will be a ranked game mode for the upcoming season, but that's with several changes to make it more competitive. So if you're a competitive enjoyer, strap it. One of the main changes is that the cashout rewards less money. When starting a cashout, you now get 30% of its total amount, and then the rest goes to whoever holds it once it finishes. I know this may have been a change before Season 4, if I remember correctly, but for the sake of ranked, it is worth bringing up. Ranked cashout also supposedly has changes to its respawn times and rewards even more cash for eliminations. But since I didn't get to play ranked, I can't say what that means at the moment, how much money you actually get for a kill, so we're just gonna have to wait for the complete patch notes before that. But my favorite thing when it comes to competitive integrity is of course the scoreboard change. I made a whole video talking specifically about this thing. It bothered me so much and they're changing it. You will no longer get a live update on the objective score, on the combat score or support score of any players other than the ones on your own team. You will also not see whether somebody is dead or alive on any other teams, even if you get to kill yourself. This made a huge difference to the read of every single match, and third partying is a lot harder since you don't know the state of the fight before. Now you can still see the overall kills per player if you look at the scoreboard, and I'm not sure when exactly it updates at this point in time. Somebody in chat said it was instant, so there might be a way to still track kills in fights, but whether the kills live update or not, it still puts a huge fog of war on the game, which stops the metagaming just from reading the scoreboard, or at the very least hinders it until kill starts coming in, which I am all for. As for the ranked rewards, you can get the gold AK, the platinum M60, and the diamond XP54, and of course you can get the ruby Louis gun if you finish in the top 500 at the end of the season. And I'm just really excited about the competitive side of things, but that's it for ranked. So what about the gameplay? Let's talk about that too, because while there isn't any new ability or gadget this season, there are still a ton of new features, including weapons and some really cool stuff that honestly might make up for it. There are 3 new weapons. For lights, there's the M26 Matter, a semi-automatic shotgun that sort of reminds me of a SA-1216, but for lights and without the burst mechanic. For medium, we have the Pike 556, which is a semi-automatic rifle, which can deal an insane amount of damage over range. It's sort of reminiscent of the LH1. It's like a slower LH1 for the medium. I was personally looking forward to seeing something like a Garand this season, but it still fulfills the same purpose. It comes with an ACOG scope, which you can take off, but we'll talk about that more in a little bit. Because for heavy, we have the .50 akimbo, where heavy holds 2 Desert Eagles and shoots at their enemies akimbo style. Now you can't aim down your sights here, you have to instead follow your crosshair, which as of season 4 can be set to fully static. So finally, after all this time, it will actually stay at the center of your screen no matter what happens. All of these weapons mean we'll have a lot more ways we might play the game, so naturally, now the game comes with 8 loadout slots. But that's probably also to accommodate that the finals now has removable sights for almost every single weapon. Some weapons, like the FAMAS or LH1, have optional scopes that have some magnification, and some other weapons, like the AKM or the revolver, come with some type of red dot. Weapons that already have a scope can take their scope or sights off if you want to go the iron sights route instead, like the FCAR or the XP54. Changing your sight in any capacity costs 400 VR if you want to switch to your irons, or if you want to put a sight on your irons, or 800 to put a scope on. You change your optics in the loadout screen, and they cannot be changed mid-game in any way, shape, or form, as far as I could see. The light sniper cannot take its scope off. It's also seen a slight nerf this season, as it now seems to fire a fast-moving projectile rather than being hit scan, which means you need to lead it over longer ranges. As for other weapon changes that I noticed, the AKM now comes with 32 bullets. The Assassin's Dagger can now hold the secondary fire, and once you release your secondary fire button, you stab. You can run around, slide, and do so much more while you're holding your secondary ready to stab. The same goes for the throwing knives. You can now hold the secondary fire and hold a big high damage knife until you release it. The RPG has been pretty noticeably nerfed and now only deals 100 damage at most, but it also takes a lot longer to reload. The CL40 seems to have been buffed and packs a crazy punch this season. The sword might have seen a buff since you don't really seem to get slowed nearly the same amount, if at all, when swinging, though I don't play the sword that much, so maybe it's always been there. The M60 fires a lot faster than previously, and it comes with recoil changes. The Louis gun also saw recoil changes. There were also tons of new changes to abilities and gadgets. For example, the dematerializer, as you guys know, historical favorite of mine, is a lot larger, and it covers a larger cluster of walls and props depending on your range and the angle you're trying to use it from. It took a little bit to relearn it, and I didn't really get it down in time for the end of the playtest. It's a bit awkward to use when trying to climb vertically inside of buildings, but I'm sure once you get used to it, it won't be that hard. Also, you can only carry one glitch trap at a time now. The same goes for the explosive mine, but as far as I could tell, you can still place 2 on the map at the same time. On the opposite, you can now carry and use 3 breach charges at a time. Throwables and map props, like barrels, no longer get teleported through gateways. The tracking dart now houses 4 shots in a magazine. The mesh shield was nerfed hard. There's something about a cooldown, and now it only has 500 health. And according to my chat, the winch claw's range was nerfed to 12 meters. So overall, you could say that heavy is seeing quite a nerf, but it might have been necessary, assuming the 50 akimbo is as good as it seems. But there are even more new things that we need to talk about. For example, the elephant in the room, the map that I'm showing you guys in the background of this video. Fortune Stadium. It sort of feels like a mix of the identity of Skyway Stadium with a lot of assets from Seoul. The whole map looks and feels a bit worn down, almost like an older version of the finals, rather than an intentional virtual choice like Monaco. It was honestly reminding me of that part in Portal 2 where you start going from the nice and fancy labs to the old Aperture Science where everything's just really run down and unkempt. If you know, you know. And this might be lore related, and I'm all for it. Every section of the map is a big building with several floors each, and every section is divided by zip lines and jump pads. Kyoto has also seen a visual update and looks amazing now. It's in autumn instead of summer, or is it spring? I don't really know which one. I'm not a weeb. I also felt that the destruction felt a lot different this season. I couldn't put my finger on it exactly, but when I was using my dematerializer, it was very obvious that buildings are built differently. The different sections that the dematerializer highlights were suddenly different, they were smaller. And once any section of the map breaks and it goes into a free fall or falls down or whatever, it feels like it falls faster. It's more realistic instead of slowly floating the way it's been doing up until now. This is probably because the game was updated to Unreal Engine 5.3, as I read a comment somewhere. The engine change might also be why so many animations felt faster and snappier in the playtest, but it's too too hard to tell because this might be related to a bug or something. It has happened before that the animations did feel different and then they changed it up later on. But when I was playing and as I was looking down, I don't know how to explain it, but I could see my legs more clearly and differently, to the point where at many times they actually blocked my shots. I couldn't see what I was shooting on, and that's definitely new. There's also some small map changes here and there, nothing notable enough for me to write it down and mention it in the video, but there were some small props added here and there that made a lot of the maps feel less empty in places, which was nice to see. But overall, the new season feels great. It feels fresh, and unlike the season 3 playtest, which you guys know was not for me, I had a ton of fun playing it all the way through. It definitely feels like a return to the game's roots, and hopefully that's something that people will resonate with and be inspired to try out and hopefully enjoy. We'll see how much I will cover of the new season, but I'm excited to do so. So if you guys want to stay tuned for the finals Fridays, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.